Just Baseball Show, and we are talking about the Wildcard series. You've got all three of us for the very first time on a SportsGrid episode. So thanks for joining us wherever you may be listening to this podcast. You could be watching on YouTube, but we appreciate those who are watching on SportsGrid as well. Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, Peter Appel. Peter, who we brought to you by?
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. Just remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply, and it might be a good idea to use that promo code because BetMGM has series prices up. And if you like a team, get after it.
We're talking Wildcard series. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to preview all four series. We're going to go kind of segment by segment. We've got the two big kahunas leading the 10-minute segments, and then the 8-minute segments belong to the other Wildcard series, so like Cleveland and Detroit on the American League side, and then you've got Dodgers, Reds on the National League side. We also want to talk about momentum in the middle of the show, and then at the tail end, we're going to go rapid fire and pick our winners. So who advances through each round and who we have winning the World Series when it's all said and done. We're starting with the Cubs and the Padres, and I figure we might as well not mess around with this. First of a 3-game set, best of 3, is going to be Matthew Boyd and Nick Pivetta. This series happens at Wrigley. Obviously, Chicago secured the first wild card spot. San Diego secured the second. It was a fight for the third. Cincinnati's going to L.A. Aram, I want to start with you. When you look at Cubs, Padres at Wrigley starting on Tuesday, what jumps out to you most?
I don't know if there's something in particular other than the fact that I wish I could be more bullish and excited about the Cubs. We talk about momentum, and we're going to get into that in terms of like how performance correlates to momentum and maybe how it doesn't. But I do think that health and just team sentiment on that side of things could definitely make an impact. And I'm just a little bit worried about, okay, Kyle Tucker's back. That is a big jolt. That's exciting. As he had enough runway to really get into a rhythm again to make an impact. Also, like we knew he was going to play no matter what, essentially. How healthy is he? How hard is he pushing it? Because yes, the bat's the ultimate value, but he's a good defender and he gives you value with his legs too. So I'm just fascinated by that. And then the Cade Horton thing, I think just creates a whole other wrinkle as well. So I just feel like and Padres have variables as well, but I just feel like the Cubs are in a really unique spot that I just don't quite know how to feel about them, but a couple good games could totally change that.
Peter, what jumps out to you immediately about this series?
A lot of what Aram said, Kyle Tucker, he's back. It's a great thing. The Cubs need him in the lineup, but he hasn't proven that he's a consistent postseason performer. He's got a 685 OPS in 64 postseason games. Now, does that mean that he's going to immediately crumble in the postseason like he has in the past? Absolutely not. He's Kyle Tucker. The regular season has proven that he's one of the best players in baseball. But knowing that and knowing that he's coming back from an injury, I can't just say Kyle Tucker is going to explode in the playoffs, right? Cade Horton, that injury stinks for this Cubs rotation, especially since Matthew Boyd has taken a little bit of a step back and Shota Imanaga has proven thus far, especially in the second half, that home runs can be an issue. And then last thing, what is PCA going to provide? MVP candidate in the first half, a borderline liability in the second half. And then on the Padres side, I'm really excited to see Fernando Tatis Jr. posted a 1,300 or 1.328 OPS in 13 games in the playoffs. Not a huge sample, but in those 13 games, he's been unbelievable.
Brother, let me shout you out. You absolutely crushed that. 1.328 is 1,300. That's a 1,328 OPS. Great job.
Well, it's Peter. A little bit higher. I don't want to do him a disservice.
I understand. The big thing that jumps out to me here, and I can appreciate what you guys are saying on the bat front, and I want to give PCA bonus points because he wrote an article in the Players Tribune. I haven't read it, but if you write an article in the Players Tribune, chances are you get 10 brownie points and you'll be, 10 ticks better in the postseason. The Cubs would be a heck of a lot better if they had this Jeremiah Estrada guy in their bullpen. there was an article in The Athletic about Jeremiah Estrada getting DFA'd by the Cubs on his 25th birthday. And this guy has blossomed into one of the bullpen aces of the many that San Diego has. I look at this matchup and I go kind of unit by unit, right? And you look lineup, you look bench, you look rotation, you look bullpen. The most glaring difference for me is the bullpen advantage that San Diego has. Short leash, Boyd goes game 1. How do the Cubs mix and match game 2 and game 3 if there is one? I have no idea. But I will tell you, we are getting into the bullpens very quickly in each of these games. Pivetta, how long does Pivetta go? Does he go 5? Give me 4 innings of the Padre bullpen over 4 innings of the Cub bullpen any day of the week. That is the stark advantage to me. And bullpens win, man. I mean, how often do we talk about the night shift for Atlanta or that Royal bullpen in 2015? Every team that goes deep in this thing has a formidable trio in their bullpen. I don't know if the Cubs have that. And listen, if Andrew Kittredge or Drew Pomerantz has an out-of-body experience for an entire month, bless them, I'm wrong. But I trust the high-octane stuff in San Diego's pen. I just do.
I was going to say the one thing that I think gets me a little bit, optimistic about what the Cubs can maybe do is just if they get hot. I think you can turn the page, you can look at that offense, see what they did in the first half. PCA, just locks in and gets that clean slate, and Kyle Tucker is able to just be Kyle Tucker. You see Michael Busch just really, I felt like, kind of sprinted through the finish line to a degree. You still look at the rest of the offense. Seiya Suzuki showing signs of life. Like, if they can turn that into an early slugfest, which is possible. Like, it's not like Dylan Cease is, just putting fear into you right now.
Right.
Then I think you can make this thing interesting. And then game 3, it's Michael King, but Michael King has been banged up a lot of the year, and you can, again, turn it into a slugfest and try to get it going early. It's going to be hard if you're playing from behind, obviously, given the bullpen that the Padres have, but I think it's just even more important. Can they get runs on the board early? And the one thing with the Cubs, though, if that is the way that they win, like if that's the way I think they can win, I actually think that's a way that they can actually get things going. And that's probably their only path to winning, but it's also something that they're very capable of being able to do, which is just get the offense going early.
Real quick, along that point, do these games at Wrigley matter to you? Do them being
the fact
Wrigley
that it's home?
Without
a doubt, It's really hard to hit in San Diego. And I mean, you talk about the environment and the advantage they'll have there, without a doubt. And that's why I think they claw some of that back. But I think a lot of the pressure is going to be getting to that starter, because once you're playing from behind, it's going to be real tough. But this offense has the ability to get to those starters. And even Pavetta's been awesome, but this isn't, I don't think you're not running into Zach Wheeler. You're not running into some of these other guys. This offense could absolutely get going. And the thing is, though, is I'm looking at it like a 5-6 inning game for the Cubs offense versus, I think the Padres, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Couldn't agree with Aram more. The way the Cubs win this series is getting a lead early. Aram, you mentioned Dylan Cease, and Michael King has been banged up. And then when he has returned, he's pitched to a 5.74 ERA in September. So Nick Pivetta has been very solid, but if the Cubs can get a lead on him, they have to feel confident that they can get a lead against Cease and against King. And then that huge advantage, I agree with you, Jack, that the Padres have in the bullpen is nullified if the Cubs can get a lead here. So the series will come down to, can the Cubs jump on the Padres first? Because if the Padres are able to get a lead, the series is over because of what you said about their bullpen. It is so damn good. So really, to summarize the series into 2 players for me, PCA and Kyle Tucker, can those 2 be the first half versions of themselves? If they can, they will take care of the Padres, who went 38-43 on the road this season.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sum it up real quick in 2 players for me, Dylan Cease and Michael King, because the Padres need to get out to an advantage. Aram, you sum it up.
I was going to say Shota Imanaga too, because it's going to, no matter how many runs you put up, if they got Shota Imanaga that they got on the last start of the season, which was 8 earned, you're going to be playing from behind. So they need Shota to step up, especially with no Horton, and be the guy that we saw in the beginning of the year.
We are not going to predict who wins this series right now. We're going to do that rapid fire at the end of the program, but we just gave you the groundwork for San Diego and Chicago that is at Wrigley Field. That's the first National League wildcard game to get going. That gets going on Tuesday at 3:08 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about the Reds and the Dodgers in LA at 9:08 in a moment. We'll be back to talk to you in a jiffy on the Just Baseball Show.
Now let's get to a player who was taken in the first round of every fantasy football draft, and thus far, it's produced the least points, George. I mean, I thought you'd just take a rookie running back in the first round and you get yourself 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But Boise State's Ashton Genty for the Las Vegas Raiders, we got out of excuses, right? Like at this point, it's, oh, they got to give him the ball more. They got to do this. They got to do that. I mean, George, does this guy look like Barry Sanders? Like that was the comparisons? Like, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Our panicometer, all right, doesn't go high enough here. All right, because this is, I mean, come on, we're freaking out here. I don't think it's all Genty, by the way. He has more yards after contact than before contact. That pretty much lets you know what the problem is there. All right, the Raiders needed a running back, sure, but they need an offensive line. All right, they need a couple of offensive linemen. It's not something you can fix in one off season here. So yeah, we're gonna eat it with Genty. He's not gonna be worth the first round pick in fantasy. It's just not. Not this year. In future years, we'll see here, but not this year. The offensive line is not very good. The defense is not very good, so they have to throw the ball more in the second mix. They're trailing every game, so that's hurting us as well here. So, yeah, like I said, the panicometer, it doesn't go high enough for this, okay? I am more than concerned. I am not calm. I am critical. I am flipping out.
Isn't there going to be a time where he just breaks it free? George, like, what you said is not false. But I think there's a point being missed here. Why has he not broken free one time the whole season? Not once. To just run away. Like he's Devin Singletary right now. No offense to Devin Singletary, but that's who he is.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
All three of us on the Just Baseball show, Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, Peter Appel. We just talked about the Padres and the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. Now we go out to L.A. The L.A. Dodgers secured the National League West, but they finished with the third best record among the division winners, which means they did not get that first round bye. They play in the National League Wildcard Series against the Cincinnati Reds. Game one of that Wildcard Series gets going at 9:08 p.m. on Tuesday. That's Eastern Time, 6:08 out in L.A. Hunter Green officially gets the ball for the Cincinnati Reds in game one. But in game one for LA, I don't see anything official just yet. I saw Snell somewhere. I'd assume it's Blake Snell. This is going to be a whale of a pitching matchup in game one. Obviously, there's a stark contrast in offensive firepower between the Dodgers and the Reds. Is this as much of a rollover as the general baseball world thinks it is, Aram Leighton, or no?
I'm excited to get Peter's thoughts on this because I know he's been putting together, like the who has the advantages and kind of a whole outlook from not only just a betting perspective, but just in general. And, I think a lot of the conventional numbers will probably point you towards that. And of course, you just look at the roster situation. But I think in these wild card settings, when you've got a really good rotation, anything can happen. And the Reds, I mean, the reason why they made the playoffs is it was not the offense, obviously. It's been the fact that they can get a quality start as frequently as just about any other team right now, especially down the stretch. So I don't think it's this obvious one-sided series here when it's a best-of-3 set and you've got a good chance that if it goes 3 games of getting 3 quality starts. And from that perspective, I think the Reds always have a shot. I'm interested to see how Tito lines the lineup up and everything, but I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for the Dodgers, and I think they're aware of that. And the offense has been still really solid, but it's not like it's been clicking on all cylinders all year long. And so, again, I'm interested to hear Peter's kind of thoughts on how they match up there. But anytime you got a rotation that's throwing the way that the Reds are with now Burns in the bullpen and the way that the bullpen's actually been of late, I can't say that's an easy matchup for anybody.
And real quick, the rotation for Cincinnati across all 3 games, if this does go 3 games, is Green, Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott, the All-Star.
So I agree with Arm. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but I think a sweep is likely here. And when I broke it down, the Reds do have a fantastic rotation, especially with Hunter Green going game one. Grew up in LA. I was in the ballpark to watch him on opening day when, the crowd was going wild. Now that can't really relate it to a postseason start, but it's probably the most pressure Hunter Green has had in his big league career, and he was phenomenal. I think he is going to show up in LA, and I think he's going to dominate. But the thing is, so is Blake Snell, a proven playoff performer. And it doesn't help the Reds' case that they rank 26th in WRC plus against lefties. So I think that's probably going to be a low-scoring win for the Dodgers. And then I continue to look at where the edges lie for Cincinnati. What has been the big issue for LA? The bullpen. They rank 17th in fielding independent pitching this year. The Reds rank 26th. So for the Dodgers bullpen woes, the Reds in totality have been worse. And we don't even have to talk about the offensive side of the game, where the Dodgers against both lefties and righties have been a top 5 team, while the Reds have been in the bottom half of the league against both righties and lefties. And it also doesn't help Cincinnati's case that they got into the postseason not because they had this incredible run. The Mets kind of handed it to them. Over the Reds' last 80 games, they went 40-40. And they're a below average team on the road going 38-43, going into LA where the Dodgers have won over 50 games at home. I just can't find the area where the Dodgers let up here, knowing how experienced they are versus the inexperienced team. It's just all Dodgers to me.
So on paper, you give me that layout, and it makes a lot of sense, but that is why the game is not played on paper. You also made a point about Hunter Green throwing in a pressure-packed environment on opening day. The biggest difference is that was in Cincinnati, and this is in LA. So it's a road start against a jam-packed house. We'll see how that goes. You brought up bullpen FIP numbers, and I understand why you brought that up. You're missing a huge piece of this. Aram alluded to it. Chase Burns has only made 5 appearances out of Cincinnati's bullpen. And Burns immediately becomes one of their highest octane relievers and highest leverage relievers as well. You know, they're not turning to guys outside of Pagan and Santillan if they've got Chase Burns in the holster. Terry Francona should get very creative with the way he uses his bullpen here. Like if Scott Barlow is throwing with a 2-run advantage in the 7th, I'm going to be pretty shocked, I will say.
The one thing I will say about Chase Burns is he's a rookie with no postseason pedigree, and he doesn't have a lot of runway in the bullpen. So from a stuff perspective, I totally understand what you're saying. When he's hopped up with all of that adrenaline, we're going to see some of the best stuff in the playoffs. Do you think the Dodgers are afraid of his stuff at home?
No, I don't.
That's why I just don't think that changes really anything in this bullpen conversation. It makes the Reds a little bit better, but I don't think it takes such a leap where it'll end up mattering in a short series where the Dodgers were used to them babying their starters in the regular season. They led Major League Baseball in innings pitched by the bullpen. In the postseason, they're going to get a lot more length out of guys like Snell and Yamamoto. We saw Shohei Ohtani go 6 strong. The bullpen woes, I think, are going to be mitigated by the length out of the Dodgers starting rotation. I just don't see how the Reds can overcome that.
I think the one way is just, if they continue to have the issue of, well, who shuts the door for them, the Dodgers? Like who's going to shut the door for the Dodgers? And I think someone's got to step up, obviously, and do that. And you hope that maybe Tanner Scott snaps into form, in the playoffs, or somebody else does. But it's the conversation that we had just a week or two ago, which is who do you trust right now in the Dodgers bullpen? And I still don't think that there's a real confident answer. I agree, and I still go with the Dodgers. I'm just trying to think of a way that the Reds can do this. It's if the Dodgers just can't get those last 6 or 9 outs. I think that's the only way. But the thing is, they've got an offense that can, always get them right back into that as well. But that's the one way I think the Reds can find this, is if the Dodgers can't finish it out.
Let me throw you a question real quick, Aram. Could we see Roki Sasaki pitching with a 1-run lead in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning of this wildcard series?
I think it's very possible.
Okay.
I really do. And he looks better of late. The fastball has been back up to sitting 99 plus in that 1 inning of work. And I think it's something different to try. And I think we do see him.
Okay. So Roki Sasaki is a possible iron in the fire in terms of leverage for Dave Roberts. I think Dave Roberts can also get very creative, even if it is not Tanner Scott. It could be Jack Dreyer throwing the 9th inning. It could be Vesia throwing the 9th inning. Edgardo Enriquez, just try something. Again, game 1 is on Tuesday at 9:08 p.m. Eastern, 6:08 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to talk about momentum in a moment right here on the Just Baseball Show.
well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. You can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We just gave you the National League Wildcard lowdown. We gave you Cubs Padres at Wrigley Field. We also gave you Dodgers Reds at Dodger Stadium. Before we get to the American League side, we're going to use this segment to tell you about momentum. Is it a thing? Is it not a thing in October? Peter Appel, you did reading. I clowned you because you said, I saw a study. And I said, are you reading academic journals in your free time? And he said,
Yes.
No, I saw a tweet. I was like, oh, a study and a tweet are very different things. You found a perfect middle ground in article. Tell me about your findings.
I still want to call it a study because I think it makes me sound smarter. But yes, there was an article written on MLB.com back in 2023, and they looked at both the hottest and the coldest teams through the final month of the regular season and how did they perform in the playoffs. The Guardians went 20-7 throughout the final month. The Tigers 7-17. So I think a lot of baseball fans will immediately think Guardians are going to stay hot and they're going to take down the Tigers, right? You can't end the season that poorly and expect to have anything going in the playoffs. The thing is, that sentiment is not proven since MLB expanded the wild card back in 2012. If we look at every team who was the best through the final month of the regular season, only 2 teams have gone on to win the World Series. That was the 2020 Dodgers, who went 43-17, by far the best record of baseball. So yes, they ended the season strong, but they were just the best team. 2020,
it was a 2-month season.
Exactly, like it was COVID anyway. In 2022, that was a full season. The Houston Astros, best team in baseball through the final month. That team won 106 games. That's why we call them inevitable, because we felt like we were watching the Avengers assemble, right? That those 2 teams were excellent. If we look at other incredible teams, the 2021 Giants, who won 106 games, they lost their first series. The 2017 Indians, the 2016 Red Sox, the 2014 Nationals, 2013 Indians, and the 2012, I said 2012 too many times, 2012 Braves all lost in their first series. So there's actually more of a history of those teams losing early. Now, if we look at cold teams, you get the same results, which is nothing. And what I mean by that is none of these cold teams have ever even made the World Series. So if you're a Tigers fan, winning the World Series or even getting there, history tells you it's not going to happen. However, it doesn't tell you that you're not going to get through the wild card, through the DS, and even into the CS. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is just because you're hot doesn't mean that you will have postseason success. If you're already a really strong team, one of the best in baseball, and you end the season strong, those teams are best suited to go on a playoff run. And the teams who are the coldest, it's unlikely you go to the World Series, but it doesn't mean you can't compete. And all of this history is just since 2012. So the Tigers could right those wrongs. The Guardians could be the third team to go win the World Series, or they could be the seventh team since 2012 to get bounced in their first series.
It's interesting because it seems like the other thing that's fascinating is the more postseasons that we just take in here, and just the more baseball in general we watch it, I think we realize the less we know. And I think when you think about a team struggling going into the postseason, it's always, oh, well, then they're just going to get slapped in the face first series. But to your point, it's not always going to go that way. You can have a good handful of games. But I feel like if you limp into the postseason, it's indicative of something being deficient in your team that may not rear its head in a 3-game set or 5-game set, but over a span of 12 to 18 games, which would be multiple series there, maybe that deficiency that hurt you in the last couple months rears its head and holds you back. And I think the thing that I guess I take away from that the most is that anything can happen in 3, 5-game sets, even maybe one singular 7-game set, but it becomes a lot more difficult when the sample gets larger, which is all the way to the World Series. So I think that's why, and we've been wrong so many times predicting, and I know for myself, like predicting initial series outcomes, because I'm like, oh, they're cold, they're going to get smacked right here. And they make it work. But then they get smacked the next series, and you're like, oh, they turned it around. Now they're going to get rolling. Nope. So that's the fascinating thing. And I think I'm excited to continue to get more info on this too, because like you said, we're only working with about 13 years of data here.
Yep. One quick thing, Jack. When general managers say the postseason is random, and a lot of fans freak out about that, and they say you should do more. The fans, I understand where they're coming from, but those GMs are right. It is random.
Yes. And Dave Roberts had a tremendous sit down with Bob Costas that I think aired on MLB Network a week or two ago. And his line that stuck with me from that sit down was the postseason is about people. It's about players. And he cited Walker Buehler and Kike Hernandez. Those guys have been underwhelming, but they have stepped up in postseason moments. It's not about trends. It's about the players that are on the field. And who's to say Blake Trinan can't step up for the LA Dodgers or another wily vet step up for a contending team? We're going to get to the American League side in a moment. Before that, quick break.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Just Baseball Show, Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, Peter Appel, all three of us talking about the Wild Card series. We're previewing all 4 Wild Card matchups. We just talked about the 2 on the National League side. We also talked about momentum. Now we get to the AL Wild Card slate. We've got a 1 o'clock game on a Tuesday, which is Tigers, Guardians, in Cleveland. We'll talk about that in the next segment. I want to talk about the big one. Yankees, Red Sox. It's in the Bronx. It's at 6:08 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, 6:08 again. We have set pitching matchups for the front 2. If it does go to game 3, we know Cam Schlittler gets the ball for New York. We don't know who gets the ball for Boston. We know Brian Bayo and Carlos Rodon will get at game 2, and a matchup of 2 of the best lefties in baseball, Garrett Crochet and Max Fried in game 1 here on Tuesday night. This is electric. It's theater. This is the most storied rivalry maybe in all of sports, certainly professional sports, and we get to see it on the wild card stage again. There's some recent history between these two on this stage, but it feels a little more fun, a little different with Crochet and Fried going right now because these are the 2 shiny new toys for both of these sides. It's perfect.
It is perfect. And the Red Sox have kind of owned the Yankees. 2004, 2018, 2021. Just this season in their head-to-head matchup, the Red Sox are 9-4, including winning 3 of 4 games towards the tail end of the season. Even in New York, the Red Sox are 5-2. So if we're looking at how these 2 teams have performed against each other, you would certainly lean towards the Red Sox. But when you look into the matchups and you look into some of the data, especially on offense, the Yankees have a clear advantage on offense. With the Red Sox losing Lucas Giolito, you would also probably say that the Yankees have an edge in the starting rotation. Now, I would totally give the edge to Boston when it comes to that bullpen. The Red Sox, led by Aroldis Chapman, the best reliever in baseball this year, have been a top 5 unit, while the Yankees are lucky to be average. And when I mean lucky to be average, they are a below average bullpen, even though they added multiple quote unquote great arms at the deadline who haven't exactly performed outside of David Bednar. So this one is going to be a slugfest. I can't wait, Aram.
So here's my one thing, because I agree with everything. If it was a 7-game set, I would say Yankees, and I'm not really even worried about it. If it was a 5-game set, I'd say Yankees, and I feel pretty good. The 3-game set where Garrett Crochet could just put the team on his back and win game 1 is what makes me nervous. Then the Red Sox just have to make something happen in 1 of 2 games. How much is that? And also, then I was looking at Brian Bayo's, not a small sample, but Brian Bayo's numbers against the Yankees this season have been great. Like really, really good. I think he's been better against the Yankees than any other team in baseball. But you know how that stuff goes. Then that means the Yankees go bombs away or something game 1. But 3-game set, and the Red Sox have the advantage in game 1 pitching wise. And then of course, the Yankees make it up there on the other side of things. How does that make you feel though, in terms of like, how much weight do you put into just having one of the best pitchers on the planet? And I feel like I'm underselling Fried, but I just think Crochet in a way can just legitimately win you the game by himself. How much does that sway things for you?
It's got me thinking a lot of different things. Here's where I'll start. The Yankees right now are minus 130 favorites on BetMGM against the Red Sox in game 1. And you ask yourself, why? Garrett Crochet has won all 4 of his starts against the Yankees this season. All 4. And he's been an underdog in most of those, right? Especially if he's facing off against Max Fried or whatever, right? He's loading up on strikeouts. He has just been awesome. But on the other side, Max Fried has a 1.96 ERA against the Red Sox this season through 18 innings. Crochet has won all 4 of his starts, but it's a 3.29 ERA. We've even seen Aaron Judge go yard. We've seen Aaron Judge strike out all the time against Garrett Crochet. We've seen both happen. So what I will say is, how likely is it that Garrett Crochet wins all 5 of his starts against the Yankees this year? I don't think it's very likely. I just think it's really hard to beat a team every single time in 5 times that you face him. When Fried has these great numbers against the Red Sox, when the Red Sox have lost Roman Anthony, and you look at the differences in offenses, especially because the Yankees especially in the second half. That offense has been incredible. Stanton's heating up. Judge really took hold of the MVP. He's now up to a minus 330 favorite on BetMGM, even though Raleigh hits a home run every day. That's how good Judge has been. So for me, I think the Yankees are going to win this series. Now, from a betting perspective, plus 145, there is value on the Red Sox. Are you kidding me? The Red Sox could definitely win this series. So I think the price is off, but I still go with the Yankees to end up winning it. And I think a big reason why losing Giolito is really tough, because now are the Red Sox going to go with a rookie in Connolly early or Kyle Harrison when the Yankees are the best team in baseball against lefties this season? That's tough. So the Red Sox could even win game one. Doesn't mean they're winning the series.
A couple of counters. Number one, I think it would be silly to chalk Garrett Crochet losing the fifth start up to just probability. It's like, oh, what are the odds that he wins all 5 games? Well, it's Garrett Crochet. I would throw the odds out the window, especially when you get into a wild card start. Number two, it's okay if they turn to Connolly early. Look at the other side. We're saying that the Yankees would have this distinct pitching matchup, and I love Cam Schlittler, but Schlittler is never thrown in this environment. Neither is Connolly early. So you've got a matchup of rookies in game 3 if you do get there. I think it's important to note that Max Fried has a career ERA over 5 in the postseason. So you've got Crochet throwing against Fried, who has historically struggled in the postseason. I'll go out on a limb here. The winner of game 1 wins this series. I really don't think a team is winning 2 and 3. I think whoever wins game 1 is going to take this. It could very well be a sweep. Aram, you mentioned Bayo has been great against New York. If Fried throws the ball well, Rodon seems like an energy guy that could just totally get that via transitive property through Max Fried and through the Yankees and just shove his way through game 2. So I'll call a 2-game series here. I think the Red Sox take game 1 because Crochet can win all 5 starts he makes against the Yankees. And I think that Bayo rides that momentum. So I think the Red Sox take it in 2. Ooh. I gave you a prediction. I know we were supposed to save those until the end, but just thinking through this right now, it makes a lot of sense to me that the Red Sox can win this thing in 2.
You just couldn't. He couldn't wait to tell.
He's so
Peter,
fired up.
He couldn't wait to tell you that the Yankees were going to lose. He couldn't even wait till the last segment.
He wants to bury the Yankees. He's been on the Cal Raleigh MVP trade all year. This is his Super Bowl. Is seeing me in pain rooting for the Yankees, where I try and give
a lot of Super Bowls in Miami recently. Yeah.
Did you see Jack winced at Kyle Tucker's 685 OPS through 64 games? He said, well, we can't really take that into consideration, but then Max Fried, his postseason numbers, those really matter. So, you see where Jack is in terms of his bias. Me, I'm staying steady. I'm staying right down the middle, Arm.
Yeah. I agree, Jack. You might need to look in the mirror.
I agree.
Ridiculous. Okay, give me an X factor. We've got 2 minutes here on this segment. Give me an X factor in this series. I already laid out that my X factor is Crochet, I think.
So I know that this is really obvious.
Aaron Judge.
Can Aaron Judge be the postseason performer? Because if he is his 1100 OPS self with Giancarlo Stanton and how terrifying he is in the postseason, they can just win you games. The Yankees' winning percentage is over 85% historically when the both of them homer in the same game. So the X factor is the most obvious and the best player on the field. Aaron Judge. We're waiting for that epic postseason run. And if we don't get it early against the Red Sox, that's how they'll sneak away and win this.
Okay. I think Bayo getting the ball in game 2 and potentially or needing to give them a quality start. But I think you're looking at the offense, and we talked about how it's a little bit top heavy, and you could talk about Ceddanne Rafaela's volatility. I just think it's a little bit bullish to say that, oh, he could be the X factor. He could get hot. I think he kind of just is what he is at this point. Bregman's going to be Bregman. I feel like he'll rise to the occasion. But the guy that has the capability of maybe being able to jolt this team with the different ways he can impact the game, Jarren Duran needs to be closer to last year's Jarren Duran. He had a really nice season when you look at it overall, turned in a good year. But Jarren Duran needs to be, I think major impact Duran. And I think that makes a different looking offense for the Red Sox.
Very excited for this next installment of Red Sox Yankees in the Wildcard Series. Again, Tuesday at 6:08, it'll be Garrett Crochet against Max Fried. And then on Wednesday in game 2, it'll be Brian Bayo against Carlos Rodon. We will see if we get a game 3. Next series now.
that team are going to stretch them over the top. But I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back and ask it if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, Peter Appel. We just talked about Red Sox Yankees again. That is the 6:08 first pitch. Now we get to, I'm going to call it a nooner, even though it's a 1:08 first pitch. It feels like a nooner on ACC Network Extra. Tigers Guardians in Cleveland, 1:08. We've got our rotation set for the Cleveland Guardians. We do not have it for the Detroit Tigers. Is that concerning? I will ask in a moment. We know it's Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, and Slade Ciccone going for Cleveland if it does get to Game 3. For Detroit, Tarek Skubal, and then, I don't know, we're doing the chaos thing again, I guess, AJ Hinch. Peter, you and I talked about this on the last Just Baseball show, and I just want to rehash this. Announcing Ciccone as Game 3 is interesting to me. I think if Cleveland does find their way into a DS, Cantillo has to be your third starter. Cantillo has been way better than Ciccone has been on the year. Cantillo, I thought, finished the year a bit stronger than Ciccone did. I was a little surprised, but then I thought about it, and I thought back to what you said, Peter, about Cantillo having postseason or having a bullpen experience and Ciccone not necessarily having bullpen experience. If it turns into an all-hands-on-deck Game 2 or Game 1, Cantillo could be around for 2 innings there. So I came around on that idea, but I do feel like Cantillo is their third best starting pitching option. Aram, how do you feel like Cleveland's rotation shook out? Is this the right way to go about it with Gavin, Bybee, Ciccone?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think for them, the way they probably look at it is, okay, Cantillo, as you alluded to, has the bullpen experience. And, if you start him, then the Tigers could stack their lineup a certain way. Whereas you start Ciccone, like you can then deploy Cantillo in the exact spot of that lineup that you want and go, lefty heavy, make sure he sees Carpenter, make sure he sees Green, and really maximize those 6 or 8 or 9 outs that you get there. So I think you are going to see the all hands on deck. I think the hope is too that you're going to get a lot of length from Bybee and from Gavin Williams, and I think those are the guys that are really elevating this team here and in this situation, and I think making it a little bit more viable to go short leash Game 3. I think it couldn't be better timing given that Gavin is throwing the ball as well as he has all year, and you could argue maybe as well as he has in his career, and Bybee is looking like the Tanner Bybee that earned that extension over the last several starts. So I think having those two guys where they're at now, I think really sets them up nicely.
Gotcha.
Looking at the reason that they probably put Ciccone in there instead of Joey Cantillo is the Tigers are the second best team in baseball this season against left-handed pitching.
Wow.
A 114 WRC plus.
Which you would never expect with Carpenter and Green being their two big boppers.
I know, but then you look at some of the righties that they're able to deploy, like Wenzel Perez, Andy Ibanez, even Justin Henry Malloy, like even going deep down to the bench. And then a lot of their righties in the lineup of heavy splits where Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter and those two are really helping them against righties. But the majority of the lineup would prefer to face a left-handed starter. So I understand why they go Ciccone, because at the same time, I agree with you, Jack. Cantillo ended the season the strongest. Watching all of them pitch, he has looked like the best pitcher. But Ciccone also ended the season pretty damn strong. And when you look at the splits, and with the Guardians, they can just mix and match in this bullpen. Like the Tigers, they're known for chaos. The Guardians have the best fielding independent pitching in the bullpen this season, even over the San Diego Padres.
When you said this bullpen was historically bad 3 months ago, that's unbelievable to me.
He's just putting words in my mouth that aren't even real. He's just putting words in my mouth that aren't even real.
Peter said like 3 months ago, what if the Guardians have the 10th best bullpen in baseball this year? I said, oh, you think they're going to stink, huh?
Well,
I
here's
just
what
assume they would be record setting again.
I mean, speaking about stinking, the Tigers rotation has issues.
Speaking of stinky,
I mean, outside of Tarek Skubal, Flaherty is not the pitcher that he was last year. Casey Mize has just been wildly inconsistent all year and on the shelf. The way the Tigers win this game is you got to win the Skubal start. You got to. And then you have to hit your way to wins, which is a really tough ask against Tanner Bybee, against Ciccone, and then this bullpen that's going to be ready to go. Cleveland at home. This series is a pick'em price. Hard not to lean Cleveland.
Weird thing that could come to fruition here. Chase DeLauter's in Cleveland. He would be making his major league debut if he were activated for the postseason. DeLauter's on the taxi squad. This Cleveland Guardians lineup is very not good. They pitched their way here. We talked about it. They have the second lowest batting average in Major League Baseball. They're hitting 226 as a team. They could add some thump from the left side in DeLauter. Obviously, someone would probably need to get hurt, but that's a weird wrinkle here, Aram.
It is. I was very surprised when I saw that he hasn't played in a game since July 11th, and he messed his hamate up, I believe, this time around. So I'm excited. Like I hope he does get a shot. It is nice to just have that as a plug-in to deploy there. But that's my one concern with the Guardians is as amazing as they have been of late. In a couple games here, would you be surprised at all? Especially one of those games is against Skubal, but would you be surprised at all if that offense just peters out and just doesn't do anything? Like, that's the one concern I have. You get a couple big swings from the Tigers. That's what they did last year too. That's where I get a little bit, because part of me wants to just say, oh, the Guardians are set up way better. And I think they are in a lot of ways, but it's not like this offense is impervious to just hitting a wall and putting up 2 runs a game at best.
Here's what summarizes this series for me. Tarek Skubal has 4 starts against the Guardians this year, tallying 28 innings, pitching to a 0.64 ERA. The Guardians have won 2 of those games. That's what we're dealing with here. The Tigers have the better offense. They have the best pitcher in this series. By far, they have the best pitcher in the postseason. The Guardians might just guard ball their way to this thing. I mean, How do you explain what's happening in Cleveland right now? It's impossible. That's why, for me, I just lean towards the home team.
I mean, Brian Rocchio hits a 3-run homer in the 10th on the final game of the regular season. They have a walk-off hit by pitch in the final weekend of the regular season. It really doesn't make much sense. I think back to that Guardians and Rays wildcard series that we got a few years ago. And a reminder, in the postseason, you go back to the classic extra innings rules where there is no place runner at second base. You just play until somebody scores a run. Like, we could get a 1-0 game in 16 innings in a Skubal start. And how did game 2, game 3 shake out, we shall see. But
that's why they're putting it on at 1.
Yeah, no, perfect. It gives us plenty of time to recuperate and get ready for the next one. But this is, even though it's the 1 o'clock, it is going to be a fascinating 3-game wild card set. We're going to walk you through rapid fire pick winners in a moment. We'll be back.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
$341 million of payroll. Best record in Major League Baseball through June 12th. 5th worst record after that. They would have made the playoffs, as this tweet says, because why? They just needed a win on Sunday versus Miami, and they couldn't beat the Marlins. They have like a $50 million payroll. The Metropolitans are out, but hey guys, did you see Juan Soto's great season?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Not betting wise, action wise. Like I got to watch this game at 12.
I want to see Notre Dame, Arkansas.
He's in, people. He's in.
I'll
He's
tell you
in
another
Notre
game.
Dame.
It's under. I want to see Duke and Syracuse at 12:45.
Nobody wants to see that game.
Nah, stop.
I mean, there's people that we know that would like that game, but we don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? We're not watching any of that
Ricky
game.
Collins?
Big
Ricky Collins?
game Saturday, Joe.
Okay,
I need your focus back for this. It's the SEC. It just means more.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
The moment you've all been waiting for. How does this idiot pick the postseason? I'll tell you right now. I'm going to walk you through it rapid fire. I'm going to walk you through series by series, and I'm eventually going to land on a World Series winner. I'm not going to give you a number of games. I'm just going to give you who wins and a quick thought as to why. American League Wildcard. I'll start with the Guardians and the Tigers. I go Cleveland. They can guard ball their way through. Tarek Skubal can only throw once this week. Red Sox Yankees. I laid it out. I think Boston in 2. I think Crochet gets the win over Fried in game 1, and then Bayo gets the win in game 2. That would set up a Guardians Mariners matchup. Mariners are rested. Julio Rodriguez is swinging it right now. Give me Seattle to get through there. You got Blue Jays Red Sox. I am going to go Red Sox here. I like their offense getting hot, and the Blue Jays sitting there for a little bit just gives me the heebie-jeebies. So that means I've got Red Sox Mariners. Give me the Seattle Mariners getting to the World Series. On the National League side, Reds Dodgers. Give me the Dodgers. Too much firepower. That would set up Dodgers Phillies. I like Philly here. I do. I think Schwarber continues this out-of-body experience that he's having this year. I think Harper steps up too. So Philly over the Dodgers. On the other side of the National League, it's Padres Cubs. I'll take San Diego, bullpen advantage. Brewers Padres. I'm going to go Padres. I am. And then that sets up Phillies Padres. Give me Philly. And I've got Philly over Seattle in the Fall Classic. That's what I'm doing.
Arm, go ahead.
Okay.
Also,
I hope I can do it as organized. I remember last time we did this, I kept getting lost. I'm like, so wait, then who do I have in the next series? And who do I have from there?
Real quick before you begin, did you notice that Jack said he wasn't going to pick the number of games? The only series he did was Red Sox in 2. Did you notice that?
We don't have time. Keep going, Aram.
All right. I'm going to go Yankees, ultimately take the Red Sox in that first series, going over to Detroit versus Cleveland. I'm going to go with Cleveland, just guard balling their way through there. Over on the other side, Dodgers versus Reds. I just really feel like it's going to be closer than people think, but I'm going to go Dodgers there, and MLB gets what they want, the Dodgers-Phillies matchup. And then you got Padres-Cubs. I think the Cubs show some signs of life, but ultimately I think they're just too beat up in a weird spot there. Padres win that one. Then going back around to the next round, I think I'm a Blue Jays believer this year. I really am. But at the same time, the Yankees are tough to beat right now, I think, with the way that they're structured. But I'm going to go Blue Jays Magic, and they overtake the Yankees there. That sends them to the ALCS. I believe the Mariners have something special going right now, and I love the depth that they have lineup-wise. I love where the rotation is, so I have the Mariners going to the ALCS. And then on the National League side, I do think the Phillies overtake the Dodgers this year, and Padres Brewers is really interesting. I think the magic of the Padres bullpen does it, and they're all in. I think they know they're all in. I think they know that they need to do this for Preller. So that sets up the CS is there. And then to go to the World Series, I think this is just a magical year for the Mariners. I think it finally kind of comes together, headlined by, having finally like an MVP candidate, and that sends them to the World Series in a really fun one against the Blue Jays. And then on the other side, I do think the Phillies make that run and get there, even without Wheeler. I think it's almost too obvious. You think, oh, they can't do it without Wheeler. I think Schwarber is going to have some crazy postseason swings. I agree. I think Turner is going to come back and make more of an impact.
Okay, so you got Phillies Mariners. Who wins the World Series?
I was hoping you just wouldn't notice, and I was just not going to give a prediction there. I think the Phillies finally do it this year. Yeah. I said it earlier. I said if they don't do it this year, I don't know when they ever are. And I think I keep telling myself I'm not picking them because of Wheeler, and I think that's why they're going to do it this year, because baseball doesn't make sense. So I got the Phillies.
Peter, you got 90 seconds. Go.
Let's do it. I'm taking the Guardians over the Tigers, guard ball. Then they go up against the Mariners. Mariners advance to go to the ALCS. Red Sox, Yankees. Give me the Yankees in a steamroll 2-game sweep. Might even be 1 because they mercy ruled them and Jack goes home crying. Then the Yankees take on the Blue Jays. Hard-fought series. Yankees barely squeak by. And then they take on the Mariners to go to the World Series. Yankees win. The experience comes out. Dodgers versus Reds. Dodgers steamrolled to go play the Phillies. Padres in a great series take down the Cubs, and then the Padres get past the Brewers, and you guys have the Phillies beating the Dodgers. I don't think anybody's beating the Dodgers. Dodgers past Phillies, and a rematch, Dodgers versus Padres in the NLCS, and the Dodgers barely squeak by. Yankees-Dodgers rematch of last year, and this time the Yankees win the World Series. Just kidding. I don't see anyone stopping the Dodgers. The Dodgers are my pick.
Okay, so you've got the Dodgers beating the Yankees, and then Aram and I are identical. We've got the Phillies over the Seattle Mariners in the Fall Classic. I hope everybody enjoys the wild card game.
Yeah, what you got? I did have that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was going to correct you. Nope, I did have that.
Yep. I hope everybody enjoys game 1 of the wild card series. You can listen to us. It'll be a normal cadence podcast after the wild card game 1. We'll preview game 2 and recap game 1 of all 4 wild card series games. So for Peter Appel, for Aram Leighton, I'm Jack McMullen. Thank you guys so much for joining us on a SportsGrid episode. We'll be back to talk to you normally tomorrow. Enjoy your baseball. Happy October.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMullen, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
Well, he came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Cignetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.